George Blankenship, thank you so much for joining us here at FundForum International. Your expertise is unparalleled, I would say, in terms of customer experience in the biggest companies in the world. So what can you impart to these companies about how they need to evolve?
Well, I think the first thing you need to do is take off the handcuffs. I mean, it feels like, the business has been done the same way for 100 years, and everybody feels like that's the way it's supposed to be done, and that it's regulated to be done that way, and you can't really reach out and do anything differently. It's just not true. I mean, the car industry's been done the same way for 120 years, but Tesla saw it differently. The record industry, the music industry was done the same way for a long, long time. There were advances along the way from, the record to the CD and DVD, that kind of stuff, but there was no real change until iTunes Music Store, and it comes along because you look at what's going on around you, realizing a need for change, and figuring, how can you be best for the customer? What's the best thing you can possibly do for the customer? That generally leads you in the right direction.
This industry has been such a closed shop in that sense, hasn't it? That the customer's now demanding that transparency because they live in an online world where they can have access to all.
Well, plus they're used to dealing directly now more with whoever's providing them a service. I mean, you could deal directly with Apple now. You can go to an Apple store. You deal directly with Amazon. Now, Amazon has all kinds of things, but you're dealing with somebody who is then responsible for delivering. And people are used to that now, and as you said, they do it every single day, and the way they're doing it is getting more and more personal. So it used to be on a computer, then it's on a tablet, then it's on a phone, now it's on a watch. And I have an Amazon Echo at home where you don't even have to wear anything, you can just talk to it. So there's a progression in how you can do things, and somebody's going to figure out what would be great to do, and then look at all the different ways you could possibly do it, and come up with a solution that will be groundbreaking in an industry that's done things the same way for a long time.
You've been quoted as saying impossible is just something that hasn't been achieved yet. Is that what this industry needs to embrace? Yeah,
because many people think that doing anything outside the box in this industry is impossible because of regulations. It's not. You just have to figure out how to do it. Nothing's impossible. And that's what this industry needs. It needs somebody to step back and say, not what can't I do, but what could I do? What could I do? And then from there figure out how to go about doing it. That's the key.
Do you think they have a bad reputation? Because it was a humorous point, but you described them as the Wizard of Oz, that sort of unknown entity. They go away into a dark room and do something that nobody quite knows about. And that image needs to change as well.
Well, I think what happens is there's this very complex set of analytics that are being done on the markets, on this, on that, on small cap, large cap. There's all these kind of things that have this major analytics, but nobody knows how to communicate them by saying, this is positive now, going to get better in the future. This is positive now, but probably not going, and in 12 words or less, here's why. And so what happens is you get all of this complexity, and when you ask a financial advisor today about it, they go, because you need to do this. And it's like, but why? And I think as companies figure out, and funds figure out how to communicate the story in a simple, straightforward, accurate way, I don't think the regulators are going to argue with that. I don't think anybody's going to argue with it. But the customer is going to see it as something totally different.
Can you imagine, obviously your expertise is in that customer experience, an actual sort of shop presence on the high street, if you like. Can you imagine these guys having that sort of presence at some point?
Well, many banks already do. In the US, some of the trading companies already do. But those are like behind big brick walls, sort of, and until you actually get out, and as I talk in my presentation, the best time to talk to somebody about something is when they're not focused on it. Now whether that's a store or not in the future, I don't know. It could be something, it could be an app. It's probably going to be something that gets launched and really noticed because it hits Facebook or Twitter. All right, and somebody tweets it and 1 million people like it, or they see something on YouTube. Because in today's world, that's how that under 40 group gets a lot of information. Now, I think what's really important is there's another group of people who are 60 and 70, another group of people who are in their 50s, who don't have the same element of risk available to them because of their portfolio and timing. But companies can continue to work with the 60s and above, or they can grow their business. It's going to be one or the other.
It needs to be fashion for all markets, if you like.
Exactly. I mean, people buy a Tesla at 18 years old and at 82 years old, and they have it for different reasons, but it's a way they can communicate. How many 5-year-olds have a phone from Apple, and how many 95-year-olds have a phone from Apple? It's how you can position what you're doing to be right for a wide spectrum of people.
If the delegates here could take one thing away from what you said today, what do you hope that they will take away?
I hope they take the handcuffs off, because what I sense here is a feeling that there's a very strong feeling of I can't.
Resistance to change.
I can't. It's not so much change. It's that they don't feel they can do anything because of regulations. It's just everywhere. It's about regulation. It's like you gotta take the handcuffs off. You got to think not about what you can't do, you think about what could be done.
And you truly believe there will be a game changer who goes out there and does that, like in all the other industries that we've seen that happen?
There is absolutely no question in my mind. Anything that's been done the same way for 100 years in today's world is going to go through a major fundamental change in the next 10 years. It's going to happen. The only question is who's going to do it.
George, thank you so much for your unique insights. Brilliant.
It's absolutely my pleasure. Thank you.